I'm the Green Smoothie Girl, and today I'm going to tell you about a chocolate mousse that is actually cancer preventative. It's a chocolate mousse that's actually phenomenally good for you. So I have been all over the world studying non-toxic cancer treatment, and I specifically sought out the Budwig clinic in Malaga, Spain. Not particularly easy to get there, in the south of Spain, and it's the only clinic in the world that I could find that completely follows the protocol of Dr. Johanna Budwig. She was a German. She died at the age of 95 about 10 years ago, but she was well known to be a very top cancer research scientist in Germany. She was also a physicist, and she was a biochemist. An absolutely brilliant woman who was nominated for 7 Nobel Prizes. And she studied thousands of blood samples from both cancer patients and healthy people. And she was finding a really interesting phenomenon. This is why she was nominated for a Nobel Prize. She became known as one of the world's foremost experts in fats. What she found in the blood of all cancer patients that she studied is that instead of having healthy, red, oxygen exchanging hemoglobin, they had this greenish yellow substance in the blood. And she experimented with what would turn this around. And just to make a long story short here, she discovered that an interesting combination of the right kinds of fats would turn that around in cancer patients. She treated over 8,000 patients and claimed to have over 90% success rate with them. Now, just to put a caveat on that, I do not believe, if anybody's watching this and has cancer and thinks that this is going to give them a 90% cure rate, I don't believe that cancer is the same now that it was when Dr. Budwig was practicing, and I do not believe that doing this alone is going to be a cure for a whole lot of people. However, it does address a critical fats problem, and that goes to the essential fatty acids. One of our very, very best sources of that is, you may know, flax oil. Flax oil is kind of a tricky thing because you have to keep it refrigerated. It can go rancid quickly. You must get a very good source. You have to get it from a health food store, very short shelf life. Keep it in the fridge. What we're going to do here, I'm going to show you exactly how Dr. Budwig said to make it. And that is that, this would be a one-day supply here. This would be what one person would eat in a day. We're going to put 3 tablespoons of this oil. You'll see it's very rich in essential fatty acids, especially omega-3. Okay, Americans are very deficient in omega-3. In fact, people worldwide are. See how bright yellow that is? That is some very high quality flax oil. And you're going to write, you see this on YouTube, and you're going to say what brand. Barlean's is a great brand. This is Nature's Way right here. There are several good ones, but if it's not refrigerated, it's not a good brand. It's something I suggest you not buy. Okay, so in addition to 3 tablespoons of flax oil, we're going to now add 6 tablespoons of, in Europe they called it, Dr. Budwig called it quark. And you're not familiar with that product if you're in the US, and probably can't get access to it. So the closest thing that is effective in the US is cottage cheese. Now, 2 caveats: organic and low fat. Okay, if you need to gain weight, go ahead and use the full fat, but low fat organic cottage cheese is very, very close to the quark that they use in Europe. Now, you're asking yourself, wait a minute, I know that you advocate for a plant-based diet, Green Smoothie Girl, what are you talking about? Well, I asked Colin Campbell, who's the main author of the China study, where we learned from animal studies and from 6,500 people that animal proteins are at the root of a lot of disease. However, I am not convinced that fermented dairy products are not good for us. For myself, dairy products are very mucus forming for me. I notice it immediately, and when I eat this, I don't have that reaction. I asked Dr. Campbell, what about fermented dairy products such as kefir, yogurt, cottage cheese? And he said, my study didn't cover that. I don't know. It is possible that those products where the proteins are broken down and therefore much more easily assimilated by the human body are good for us. He doesn't know. So what Dr. Budwig found is that when we take a sulfurated protein, like is found in very few dairy products, but is found in cottage cheese, and we combine it with the essential fatty acids that we're missing for cancer patients, and we blend them. And the way to do it, Dr. Lloyd Jenkins says at the Budwig Clinic in Malaga that it's best to use a stick blender like this. This is the Cuisinart Smart Stick. I believe there are others out there on the market, and it's very easy to do this way. And we're just going to blend it up a little. And we're blending it up so that it's nice and creamy. And we know that it has blended and bonded those proteins to those fats, which is what we're looking for, when we don't see any more yellow oil. Now, everywhere I read about the Budwig protocol, they're very, very regimented about it. It has to be done this exact way. Okay, so they are adamant that you have to blend these two items before you add anything else. But where you can make it a really nice chocolate mousse is that I'm adding some liquid stevia here. This one is toffee flavored. Okay, and just add about 10 or 12 drops. And then I'm going to add some raw ground cacao. And just do it to taste, however much makes sense to you. And you don't have to add these things. There's lots of different things you can add. You can be creative, but make sure it's healthy, of course. And then we'll mix it up. And you may want to add a little bit of water. Because if you're using cottage cheese, I believe it's a little bit thicker than the original European pork, so you might want to do that. Okay, doesn't that look yummy? It's not very often that we find something that's really yummy that's actually really good for us. So I recommend this, adding it to your protocol. If you're not a vegan and this isn't going to offend you using a dairy product. Dr. Jenkins told me that they did have a doctor test the blood after using yogurt instead with the flax oil, and it did not achieve the same effects. I believe that kefir blended with some cottage cheese does achieve the same effects, so that's something you can do. I like this with a green smoothie, what I've been doing since I discovered this practice. And by the way, I saw this in other parts of the world, even places that weren't specifically following what Dr. Budwig did. They had this mixture at, for instance, Paracelsus au ranc in the southern Swiss Alps that treats cancer patients. And I saw this at Klinik Marinus in the Bavarian Alps in Germany. They serve this as part of the meals. So it's very well known. And I believe it's also a great thing to eat with your green smoothie, because when you have a bit of fats while you're eating your greens, then those minerals from the greens are much more absorbable. It's always good to have a little bit of fats. And I find that if I have this plus a quart of green smoothie, I'm totally full and it satisfies me all the way till dinner. It's what I have for lunch lately. So give this a try. I hope that this is a valuable new habit that you've learned here on Green Smoothie Girl. And we'll be back with more ideas. Send them our way. We love to hear from our readers. This is the Budwig Protocol Chocolate Mousse. Enjoy. See you next time.